If you're a fan of Elon Musk, you know that he's no stranger to high-risk, high-reward situations. Whether he's launching rockets into space or building electric cars that could change the world, Musk is always one step ahead of the game. But here's a story that will shock you, a story about how someone tried to outsmart him and how they ended up falling into the trap they thought they'd outgrown. So buckle up, because if you think you've seen all of Elon Musk's brilliance, wait until you hear what happens when his empire's security is threatened. This isn't just any story. It's a tale of greed, deception, and the incredible vigilance that keeps Musk's empire intact. Trust me, you'll want to stick around to the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gripping stories like this one. Jessica Hale had always dreamed of working for Next Corp. She had seen Elon Musk's rise to fame, not just as a business mogul but as a visionary, a man who wasn't afraid to go to the edge of what's possible, to innovate, and to build things others said were impossible. Next Corp, Musk's brainchild, was more than just a tech giant. It was the heart of innovation, a global hub of cutting-edge AI research, space technology, and cybersecurity. When she received the offer to join the company's elite cybersecurity team, it was the culmination of her entire career. She had built her reputation from scratch, multiple degrees, groundbreaking patents, and years of experience in defending some of the most secure systems in the world. But Next Corp wasn't just another job. This was her chance to be part of something bigger, a chance to shape the future alongside Musk and the most brilliant minds in the world. But Jessica had a secret, a darker ambition that lay behind her polite smile and impressive credentials. She wasn't just here to do her job. She wasn't here to climb the corporate ladder, not exactly. Jessica was after something far more valuable than just a paycheck or the respect of her peers. Next Corp's systems held an encrypted vault, an impenetrable database of information that included private data of some of the world's wealthiest and most influential people. The kind of data that could make anyone rich, the kind that could change lives in an instant. And Jessica had been working for years on a plan to access it. Her plan wasn't just about stealing a few files. No, she was going after the mother lode, the kind of data that could make her a multi-millionaire overnight. She had done her homework. She knew Next Corp's systems inside and out, and she was prepared to bypass its cutting-edge security. This wasn't a simple hack. She was going to steal from the empire of Elon Musk himself, and nothing would stand in her way. Jessica had been with Next Corp for just over a month now, and she had already built a reputation as a top-tier engineer. She was everything Next Corp needed: smart, resourceful, and driven. But what no one knew, what no one could have possibly guessed, was that Jessica was already planning her escape, with data in tow. She was careful, though. She played the part of the ideal employee. She attended every meeting, always asking insightful questions, and stayed late to help her colleagues with their tasks. She quickly became the kind of worker everyone respected, someone dedicated to the mission, to the company's vision. And that's exactly how she wanted it. No one suspected a thing. But behind her carefully crafted persona was a burning desire for wealth, for control, for the kind of power that came with holding the keys to the kingdom. The high-level encryption, the multi-factor authentication, the security protocols that made Next Corp's systems bulletproof, they were nothing more than a challenge to her. She had spent weeks analyzing Next Corp's internal defenses, searching for any flaw, any chink in the armor, and she found it. Next Corp's AI system was advanced, but like all systems, it had a blind spot, a vulnerability. Jessica knew that if she could exploit it just right, she could gain access to the vault, bypass the encryption, and slip through undetected. The excitement built up in her every day. She wasn't just about to hack into some server. She was about to infiltrate one of the most secure tech companies in the world, owned by none other than Elon Musk himself. One night, when the office was nearly empty and the only sound was the hum of the servers in the background, Jessica sat down at her workstation. Her fingers flew over the keys. Every move was calculated, every step designed to inch her closer to her prize. With each successful bypass of security measures, her confidence grew. She could already taste the victory. Just as she was about to access the encrypted database, a shadow appeared at the edge of her cubicle. Jessica's heart skipped a beat. She froze. "Working late, huh?" It was Alex. Alex Trent, NextCorp's lead security engineer, was known for his no-nonsense approach and his uncanny ability to detect even the slightest abnormality in the company's security systems. He was an enigma, quiet, intense, and always observant. He had a reputation for working late and keeping his eye on the internal logs, and he had an almost supernatural ability to sense when something was off. Jessica quickly minimized the window, her palms slick with sweat. She turned toward him, forcing a smile. "Just going over some AI models," she said, trying to sound calm, making sure everything's secure. Alex raised an eyebrow but didn't press her further. Instead, he leaned against the cubicle wall, his piercing gaze never leaving her face. There was something about him. Something sharp and calculating. Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that he could see right through her. The silence between them stretched out, growing heavier by the second. Finally, Alex spoke. "All right, just keep your eyes peeled. We've had some weird activity in the logs recently," he said casually. But his eyes lingered on her for a fraction longer than usual, as if trying to read her thoughts. Jessica's breath caught in her throat, but she didn't let her anxiety show. "I'll make sure to keep everything in check," she said smoothly. Alex gave a curt nod and left, but Jessica's mind was racing. What did he know? Could he have suspected her? Alex had his suspicions. He'd always been diligent about monitoring NextCorp's security logs, and when he saw the unusual access attempts and the failed login attempts that corresponded with Jessica's activity, he couldn't ignore it. Something wasn't right. That night, while most of the office was empty, Alex decided to dig deeper. Using his access privileges, he checked the security logs, tracing the IP addresses and user activity. The anomalies were impossible to ignore. There were too many failed login attempts on high-security databases, and each one seemed to point back to Jessica. Alex's gut told him she was involved, but he needed concrete proof. He couldn't just confront her without being certain. So he set a trap. Using a monitoring program, Alex watched Jessica's every move remotely. He knew she would try again, and this time he was ready. It was nearly midnight when Jessica returned to her workstation, ready to make her final attempt. Her hands shook with anticipation as she entered her credentials, bypassed the security, and began transferring the data. As soon as she initiated the transfer, an alert went off in Alex's system. The trap was set. Karen Holmes, the head of NextCorp's internal security, was immediately notified. Within moments, a small team of guards and security experts was rushing to the office. Jessica was so focused on her work, she didn't hear the footsteps approaching. But as the office lights flickered on, she turned around in shock. "Step away from the computer, Jessica." Karen's voice was cold, authoritative. Jessica's heart sank as she turned to face the growing team of security officers behind her. Panic surged through her body, but it was too late to escape. The evidence was clear. The next day, Elon Musk himself made a brief statement to the media. He was known for his no-nonsense approach when it came to matters of security, and his words were sharp. NextCorp does not tolerate any form of data breach. The person responsible for the attempted theft of sensitive information has been terminated and will face legal consequences. Our security team acted swiftly, and the data was preserved. Jessica was arrested, charged with conspiracy, attempted theft, and illegal access to corporate data. The evidence was irrefutable. As she was escorted out of the building, her face drained of color and the dreams she'd once held, dreams of wealth, power, and control, crumbled before her eyes. Elon Musk's empire remained intact, but the story of Jessica Hale would serve as a reminder to every employee at NextCorp. No matter how sophisticated the technology, no matter how brilliant the mind, greed always has a price. As for Alex and Karen, their quick actions had saved the company from a potentially catastrophic loss. Alex was promoted to head of security, while Karen was given a substantial raise for her exceptional work. They had thwarted the heist before it could ever take flight. And as for Jessica Hale, her ambition had led her straight into the hands of the law. No one, no matter how clever, could outsmart Elon Musk's empire. If you found this story thrilling, don't forget to like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for more jaw-dropping tales, and turn on notifications so you won't miss a single one. Stay tuned for our next big story.